So my job is to teach you how we think so that you can make decisions consistent with the organization but reflect your unique site. Because as we'll discuss, no two sites are the same, no two sites have the same resources. What's your name?
Jen.
Jen. Do we know each other?
No.
I love that you're already nodding in agreement. She's like, I get that. That's another one of those classically smart hires where it just sort of works. So thank you. Keep nodding, even if it's just like a neck issue. Just keep doing it. I feel it makes me want to keep talking to you.
Awesome.
So that's one of those body language things that you learn over time. So that is my purpose. One is to teach you how we think, to prepare you to make decisions that are consistent with what we think are excellent, and that we as an organization can back you and protect you and defend you if you make these decisions. And two is to make sure that you're ready for the first day. We can have a series of conversations and spend a lot of time talking about things that won't matter for 6 weeks at the expense. You, sir, who are you?
Steven.
Steven, love that you're nodding. You guys have the same affliction?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we're rolling
That's
with it.
awesome.
Definitely.
So we need to add what those conditions are that we need to investigate further and try to hire people who have the same chronic disc issue. All right. That's what I do. Just let me go. I'll get you where you need to be. Sometimes it's not linear, but it'll get you there. The second thing that we want to do again is to make sure that you're ready for Tuesday. The days and weeks leading up to the start of a location are hectic. You have a lot of moving parts. One, you're hiring. Two, you're hiring and then people find other things they want to do because they get into a graduate school or an undergraduate school and they go, I really want to be here, but I can't. And that takes up unexpected times even though we expect it. Two, we've got to add new students. And the orientations, as Tasia will tell you yesterday, you've got 60 to 100 new families that want to join. Then you've got to get your kids from the previous year enrolled. It's just chaotic, all right? And third is a lot of you are new and you're like, I can be as ready as I want to be, but then you get hit by the first day, and we've learned over time to scale back our focus so that we're just ready for day one, okay? So that is going to be the approach that we follow. Over the course of the last 2 years, since January 1 of 2017, we've added 2 5-day-a-week programs or core after-school programs, and I believe it's 25 primetime game sites. So our organization has quadrupled in size, at least tripled, somewhere between tripled and quadrupled. There's no word for fractionalizing that. You can't say tripled plus 30%. It doesn't work. So somewhere between tripled and quadrupled in size. So we've had to drastically change how we impart information. So the first thing that we did, you guys, you might be too old for this phenomenon, but has anybody heard of something called the internet?
No.
Okay. On the internet, there's this thing called streaming. And there's this website called Netflix. Has anyone heard of it?
Nope.
Yeah? Okay. Netflix has this radical founder who we actually, if you want to meet him, we can meet him. He's not far from here. Anyways, they came out with a culture deck. You can look it up online. It's 126 slides. And I thought it was awesome because the statement they made was, this is who we are. And it drives every decision we make. And you might be a good employee, but if you're not a cultural fit, you're not a good employee for us. And that's really the differentiator. You're not a good employee for us, but you could be a good employee. Like, we're not saying you're not, but we're defining who we are. And that really resonated with me because I wanted to begin to capture who we are, not based on what I think, but based on the feedback that I've gotten from lots of conversations with staff and training. And just so you know, the conversation we have today, and it will be a conversation that you have, is really preparing us for our next staff meeting. So this is kind of a fluid exchange. It's really an outline. The Netflix deck, which I love so much, I introduced it about a year and a half ago, or a year ago, maybe it was a year ago, and Manny, who you'll meet, Manny goes, "Can't we just make it a picture?" And then I'm like, "Well, he's like," and then he draws it and says, "That's us." I go, "Well, that if I only wanted it to be one slide, one simple snapshot, that would do it." And so I still want that. I'd love to see if we can capture who we are on one slide. But what I want to do is tell you that this is not my own thought process. This is the values that our staff, who I value as staff, these are the things they have told me matter to them, resonate with them. I did not create this on my own. And that's what's important about it, is this is not just, and I'm in 40 minutes, I'm going to do this exact same deck next door with our fee-for-service program. So it's the same people telling you that this is what's important to us. So what I want to do is begin by stating who we are. And the training today is the prime time way. We have already told you what's required of you, right? That's what Wednesday and Thursday and even Tuesday were. That's what we're told we have to do. There's nothing creative about that. That's the district, that's the state saying in order to be funded, you got to do this. So I'm like, all right. Those are, anyone ever see, there's a movie called The Matrix. Anyone heard of it? LB's going to plan one of these movie nights for the organization. He's putting together some things. I think he's got water slides, bowling, and movie night so far.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So The Matrix might be the movie. You have to understand the rules to know that there are no spoons and you can dodge bullets. I really need you two to be nodding right now, more than ever. All right, thank you. So, let's go through the deck, the prime time way. This is how and who we are and how we implement what's asked of us. All right. For the most part, well, you'll see. Anyways, go ahead and read the prime time way, we believe. Don't go any further. Further, by the way, is a measure of degree. Farther is a measure of distance. I'm very specific in how we use those. Okay. You can read up to 5. Page 5, please. Preparation. You thoroughly understand what is expected of you because the organization has taken the time to prepare you to be excellent. You understand that preparation, like improvement, is an active, ongoing process. You understand the context. That is my word, context. That is what today is all about. Of what behind what is asked of you, and you understand it is your responsibility to speak up on your own behalf if you're not adequately prepared to produce excellent outcomes. There is a sacred bond or an arrangement that we have. That bond arrangement is if something is expected of you and you don't have the training or the materials or the wherewithal to implement it, your responsibility is to notify us that you are not prepared to deliver excellence. Because the excellence is, we've already set the bar. What we expect, we determine to be excellent. So if you're not prepared to do that or you don't have the materials, you must state so. Otherwise, we assume that you are. All right? That's critical. Don't put yourself in a position to underperform because you're not prepared to perform. We can't expect something of you that you have not been prepared to deliver. Okay. Communication. Anybody want to read for us? See, that's clever. Communications. Anyone else want to do it? I was ready. That's preparation. Terence.
You understand that communication is the bedrock of preparation. You listen well instead of reacting fast, so you can better understand. You treat people with respect, independent of their status or disagreement with you. Where and when possible, you ask questions as a means of effectively communicating your point of view. You share information openly and proactively. The end.
Yeah, you're right. Collaboration. Who? See, that's another one of those where it's like now we're collaborating. Who are you, sir?
Juan.
Juan, where you work?
I will be working at. They changed me from Emerson to something new.
Webster.
Webster.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you met Tasia?
Yes.
Good. All right, Juan, read for us.
Yeah. You thoroughly understand what is expected of you because the organization has taken the time to prepare you to be excellent. You understand that preparation, like improvement, is an active, ongoing process.
Collaboration.
Sorry.
I said, wait a second, that seems oddly like.
We recognize that we are stronger together and that begins with communication. We recognize that primetime success directly benefits us and we want to contribute our best ideas to help the organization. We are all expected to contribute our energy and ideas in preparation and in execution. We operate with a sense of urgency that demonstrates our commitment to our colleagues and the collaborative process.
I'm going to ask now, in the interest of time, and because you guys, I believe, are starting to get the sense of what the purpose of this is, go ahead and read through till the end, and then I'm going to call you back to just a couple of points within. All right, so I'll see you in about 3 to 5 minutes. The reason why I want to call your attention to the judgment page is because the very first statement, that's the purpose of today. You understand that the Primetime Way is an organization approach to making site-based decisions. You must exercise your judgment. You smartly separate what must be done well now and what can be improved later. We are preparing you for the first week. You will have questions. More will unfold over time, like installing an offense. Okay. Creativity and innovation. Preparation and judgment are applied to site-based decisions. If you come up with something cool that works at your site, there's a good chance it will work at others if those sites are similar. We would want to have that permeate all of the organization. The best example of this, and it kills me every time I bring it up, is nail art. Marina Middle School, Marina Del Rey, one day they go, we got this great idea, we got these girls and they like art, and they want to talk. I don't remember what it was, we got to do nail art. I go, what is nail art?
You forgot the part when you say no and no.
Oh, no, I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. Next thing I know, it's at every site. So it even made the training somehow on Sarah's sheet. But that proved to be useful. Selflessness. We work on a very thin margin. The district keeps cutting back and expecting more. That's a bad recipe. It's made worse if you are late, you are on your cell phone, you are doing things that make a difficult job harder for your colleagues. Grit. It's one of the best words ever created. It's defined for you at the top. There are certain phrases and ideas that will surface from time to time. One of them is the basic premise of better today. Incremental improvements consistently accumulated make for excellence overall. All right. You will hear things said about me. I want to tell you what's true and what's not true well in advance. One of the things that you will hear is that I am a micromanager, a control freak. Anyone who's ever founded an organization or a product or created an idea, there is a difficult process through which you release control to other people and trust that they will execute it as well or better than your vision. So what I am is not a control freak. What I am is the defender of an ideal. And there is a tipping point. The tipping point is, at what point does my 5, 10, or 15% energy that I can focus on something better or worse than the amount of time you have to focus on something? And when it begins to tip in your favor, that is the point where I begin to release control over the decision making, the process, because I know it's better in your hands. Okay, so that's the conversation. That's the site-based model. So that is context. The more context I can provide you, or the organization can provide you for the decisions you make, the better we are off having you make those decisions, because you're closer to the product being your site, your students, your families. Okay? So I am the protector of an ideal. I'm not a micromanager. You must demonstrate that you are in a better position to make the right decisions in a timely manner than me. Me being administration at large. Okay. Context, not control. Slide 15. Those are the variables that contribute to context in the context of how we use it. Page 16, good context. Slide 17 is taken directly from Netflix's, the only one. I just thought it was awesome. Those who have worked with me long enough will tell you that I will go back and back and back to make sure that if something dumb was done, in the Netflix sense, I'll go back as much as possible to what preparation was given that person, what context was provided, until I'm sure that the dumb decision was entirely the fault of that person, and not that there was something more we could have done to help circumvent that decision and make improvements along the way in our process. So that is, as long as it doesn't jeopardize the safety of the students, staff, school, parents, I'll assume that we didn't prepare that person or those people well enough until the time when I'm sure that we did. Okay. My hope is that through this process, you will contribute your thoughts, your questions, and that this will change the training for the next wave. Okay, that is the who we are aspect of things. This document right here, if you don't have it, is referred to as the SVP document. Do you have this? It is one thing to tell you we do something a certain way and leave you to try to figure it out. But it's another thing if we provide you actually, this is who we are. And you can see this document begin to manifest into action. This document, which begins with vision statement, is the outcome of a 6-month intensive marketing branding strategy grant that we received, where we worked with a high-level team of professionals from across the business spectrum through social venture partners to come up with what they thought would be a marketing deck. But what we found out after the second meeting was that, oh no, it's going to become something much bigger. It's going to become an entire identity exercise that allowed me to hand this off to grant writers, graphic designers, site directors, staff, and go, if you want to do something, or if you want to project who we are, you need look no further than this. Gesundheit. So this is a really high-level document, but it's such a cool tool. So I want to make sure that we go through this because you're going to see sort of a cascading effect that starts at the top and it ends up at what you do at your site. There's a consistency that this strives to create. All right. The vision statement in the nonprofit world, you hear about vision, mission, goals, objectives, especially if you write grants, which is just tedious. But to keep it simple, why do we do this? We do this because we think this. Vision statement. That's our vision. If we provide this for youth, we've made it a better world. Go ahead and read the we believe statements. They were in the other document. What you're starting to get, though, is that all of these things are measurable. We believe success is measured by performance and engagement. Engagement is an academic rubric. All right? It means the degree to which someone attends your program, participates while they're there, shows an interest beyond just being where you are. That is engagement. A whole nother day if you guys want to talk about that. Performance, there's a slide about, there's a slide of the University of Chicago. We'll see if we have time for that. All right. How our program operates. Why we chose, anyone know why I chose middle school? Anyone know? Anyone know anything about middle school students?
They're the most at risk.
What does at risk mean? Everyone's at risk. Did you drive your car today? Did you play dodgeball yesterday?
Gap started
Statistics,
elementary school to
so-
high school.
When they start thinking for themselves.
Start with developmental.
They're preteen.
Give me one word that throws the whole world into chaos.
Adolescents.
Yes. You got with puberty, hormones. So by definition, middle school kids are already in chaos. That's the purpose of, that's what happens. Why are middle school kids from lower income communities more at risk?
Resources.
Lack of resources. You hear terms like resource gap or opportunity gap. Those are things that ultimately lead to what is an achievement gap. Rarely is there an achievement gap without an opportunity or resource gap, okay? So keep going. What does it mean? Opportunity, resources. What does it mean? These kids from lower income communities have fewer resources to deal with or provide the structure to help counterbalance a lot of these things that every kid's going through. That could be a single family home. The first year we did the program, we had a foster kid whose last name was Foster, who was foster adopted by a family whose last name was Foster. You can't make this stuff up. It happened, right? Those are resources, opportunities. So it's generally understood that kids from lower income communities have fewer of those things to help buffer them from the natural changes that they're going through anyways. The achievement gap occurs between 5th and 6th grade. That's the biggest precipitous drop. Middle school starts in 6th grade, right? The highest increase in juvenile crime occurs between 5th and 6th grade. So you're declining academically, an increase in violence, and the dropout rate, the highest degree of dropout rate occurs between 8th and 9th and 9th and 10th grade, which means if you're not doing well in middle school, you're done. If you make it past your first year of high school, you don't drop out. You have it. It's not my opinion. Okay? So, our purpose, therefore, is to help kids in middle school. Number one reason why kids in middle school don't do well, they don't turn in their homework. The system is built to succeed based on turning in your homework. If you just turn in your homework, you move ahead. Number one predictor of success in high school, GPA in middle school. All you have to do is figure out the rules of the road, and it's easy to be great. All right, I don't want to get too far ahead though. So our model, page 2. Don't worry about too much of I was struggling how much of this to go over with you. We printed actually a different version. There's a version of this that is meant for training, and there's a version of this that's meant for grant writing. You actually have the grant writing model. This is what we do. Remember, we talked about you have to provide academic support, academic enrichment, and what's that? In here for now, and then over there in 20 minutes. All right. So, academic assistance. Everybody's supposed to provide that. Things that we do that are slightly different. Work directly with the school to implement credit recovery. Credit recovery means that a class has already ended, they failed. You can't change a grade, but you can get the kids credit recovery, which means they might have failed, but they'll get back the 4 units to the class so they have enough credits to move forward. You can't change a grade. Academic intervention means you're in the middle of a class and you're trying to intervene before they fail so that hopefully you can turn around. You'll see in our model we have 10-week incremental programs. That's because the 10-week mark is when progress reports come out, right? So if we can catch those kids at the 10-week mark, we can do things that will improve their chances by the end of the semester. Okay, so the other thing is the LAUSD and Beyond the Bell operate at a 20-to-1 ratio. We work to find collaborations that lower our academic ratio time to as low as 3-to-1. Those site directors in your needs assessment, we talk about the collaborative programs on campus, Bruin Corps, the LMU program, the USC program, finding the resources and bringing them to our kids rather than having them stand alone, tutoring programs that the teachers might provide, funds from Title I that we could use to pay teachers to work. There are all of these variables we can do to bring resources that get kids who need it the most, the academic support they need to turn in their homework and pass their class. It's really that simple. Okay, athletics. We're required to provide athletics or recreation as one of the 3 components. But that's not enough just to roll out a ball. By the way, I hate bad equipment. If you have equipment that's torn, shredded, the tack or grip is worn, and you got brand new basketballs that are just waiting to be blown up, shame on you. Dang. Because these kids can have a bad basketball at home. Why are they going to stay here? All right? So if our purpose is to get kids successfully through middle school, we wanted to find an athletic opportunity that prepared them for high school. So we created a sports league that allows our middle school kids to play each other in a model that we hope will replicate high school. That's our WSA Cup. Taking what we have to do and putting a unique spin on it that's consistent with our overall vision and mission, right? Getting kids to be successful in middle school. So you'll hear the term WSA Cup, WSA Cup. That's a funder. It's a donor, it's West Coast Sports Associates. But that is what we are trying to accomplish with our sports program. It's why we brought in tennis last year, to introduce kids to sports that they might not otherwise play and allow them to compete in a format similar to high school. So that is the value behind our sports program. We also do something called the Primetime Games, which is a signature program. The Primetime Games pairs at-risk youth at now the elementary and middle school and high school. The Primetime Games gives those kids the opportunity to mentor kids with disabilities through sports. That's the program LB primarily works on. It takes place here at Palms, used to take place at Webster, rotates. So, anyone heard of My Brother's Keeper? My Brother's Keeper was the social initiative of Obama's second term. It started with the premise that stated all males of color 11 to 21 should have a role model and need a role model or a mentor to overcome the achievement gap. 11 to 21. It since over time became less dogmatic in its purpose statement, but it's still out there. It's now run by mentoring.org. We were part of the overall rollout of it. Our model, and the reason why we've gone back to DC and met with MBA Cares and all these people, is to say you have the bright idea. Mentorship is essential, but you're not going to turn on the light bulb by bringing someone in and showing the kids that if they just tried, they can go to law school or give nice clothes or whatever it is. That's not going to change anything in the way a kid perceives himself. But if you make him or her responsible for someone else in a 1-to-1 ratio, that's going to have that light bulb. I'm responsible. I have a purpose, right? So therefore, I must perform. Someone is counting on me. That's engagement. That 1-to-1 concept, when our initial data was released in 2012, we did a 3 or 4 or 5 year graduation rate study, blind study. We didn't do it, district did it. Our middle school kids who attended our program in middle school were 37% more likely to graduate high school on time than kids who did not, or district-wide. That's like 4 other years down the road. And if you look at kids at risk, which are African American or Hispanic, that's generally the population that underperforms in LAUSD, 57% more likely. Whoa, what did they do? Well, we just gave them a chance to mentor kids through sports, through a paradigm that they understood sports 1-to-1. That's it. Kids thrive. My favorite quote is when we surveyed the kids and we asked them, why did you do better, essentially? The general answer was, I did not want to disappoint my athlete. Okay. There's not much more you have to think about. Enrichment. Academic enrichment. Activities that have an academic basis. So we have 2 focal points because, again, we have a greater purpose, which we know what we're trying to do. Get our middle school kids to graduate high school on time. And we know that success in middle school is the best way to accomplish that. Okay? So if that's the case, what do we want to do with our enrichment? So the first thing we created is what we call, well, Sarah will talk in greater detail, so we'll start with that. Art and STEM. Everybody does art and STEM, right? But what we've done, which is pretty cool, beyond just utilizing it to give kids something to do, pens, paper, things like that. Yes, everybody loves art, has art teachers. Last year, we took huge strides towards accomplishing our goal because we expanded what we did through the Art Academy to make it very competitive, to make it very interactive, to bring much more professionalism to it, to expose kids to more career-based opportunities. And a participation level, remember the whole purpose of enrichment or sports is to get the kids to the program. And I'm telling you this because when you bring ideas to the table, we're going to want to make sure they're founded on the right basis, which is, well, how will this help our kids graduate? More kids participating in your program means more kids are getting the academic support they need. More kids participated in last year engagement in the program than in previous years. And one of the primary reasons was we had a much more robust art and STEM program. More kids doing things, more kids engaged, more kids attending school, more kids staying after school, more kids staying out of trouble. All of those things, the more they come, the more benefit we have, okay? So this year we're going to try to take strides in our STEM program the same way we did with art last year. We'll leave that to Sarah and the site directors to go over with you. The part where most of my time now goes is in what we have collaborative programs or our Next You initiatives. Next You is kind of cool. Next You means either university or you as in a person. There's a lot of volunteers out there that say, I want to help at-risk kids. I'm going to come in and I'm going to help them with their homework. If you're a middle school kid and somebody you've never seen before walks in off the street and goes, can I help you with your homework? What? Yeah. It's one of the greatest paradigms or interactions you could ever see. First of all, there's this, complete ignoring. Second is complete ignoring. Third is no. And that person, nobody felt good about it. So what we started to do is seek partnerships where people can come in and teach what their expertise is so that they can consistently come in and own the conversation, develop a relationship outside of you're not good at school. And hopefully kids will see other kids who look like them just a couple steps up, high school, college, graduate school, and go, I could be that person too. They've spent enough time with me, they've invested in me personally, so we have a mock trial program, which is generally a high school concept, but our middle schools compete against each other in a mock trial, and it's taught by Loyola Law School. So Emerson competes with Palms over an 8 to 10 week period in the fall, and it culminates in these kids actually put on a trial at Palms or at Loyola Law School. And it's incredible, and it starts out with them going, who, why, and then these kids appear in front of our board member, in front of law professors, and just kill them, right? And a lot of these kids talk about wanting to go to law school. These are kids who didn't think they were going to law school. Some might have, but the majority didn't. That has value. We are one of 3 charities in the city that is our USC Marshall Business School Challenge for Charity Partners. Don't worry about that. What matters is we're one of 3. The other 2 are Junior Achievement and Special Olympics. Those 2 are somewhat national. We're the only local one, and the good thing is we do what both of them do. So I'm trying to get them out and just have it BS, but that's my own personal battle. Anyway, so what we did, they said we want to volunteer. I go, good. What have you done in the past? Well, we want to go once every quarter. No, it's not going to work for our kids. It's going to be no value for you. So we created a program that's at Webster and will now also go to Studio, where it's project-based learning. Kids have to use skills they do in school, where every week they are learning about the stock market. They are learning marketing. They are learning product development. We've implemented Shark Tank. So there's lots of really cool ways that the kids are getting the practical business skills that they need. Lots of great ideas. So many great ideas, right? So this year we're going to have a mock case study that's going to be presented in front of USC professors at USC, similar to the way the Loyola Law School program operates. Yes?
What schools will be used?
That is because that is Webster against
That's great.
Studio,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because Palms, Studio's closer to USC, so that's where they can triangulate.
Okay.
So that means that we still got, we got to figure something out as Marina and we got to get one to Marina and Westside Global. Westside Global has a Heal the Bay program, which is really cool. And Marina, we got to figure out still one of these things to get to you guys, but it could be that if we use the interweb, with things like Google Classroom, that they'll be able to do it as well.
I'd rather just Heal the Bay one, to be honest.
Heal the Bay could work. You guys could compete. Mike's like shaking his head. Like he wants so little to do with you.
Is that an idea where, like, you know, like we had that little creek?
Right.
I want the kids to clean up trash out of that and collect it and later on do like a little
Our project with it?
Yeah. And then
That's got a chance.
If they clean that goes to the other.
Right, then you got
We have
nothing.
nothing to do.
You got nothing. Like 50% of the trash.
to the ADW, that's
Great idea.
Consistent mentors create strong relationships. Strong relationships create strong identification with the school. That is where I met him or her. I therefore have a stronger connection to my school. That is engagement. Okay? There is a purpose behind it. These next few collaborations, they must demonstrate, so if you're thinking of ideas and partnerships, the criteria, they have to involve a organization outside of us that can bring attention to us, right? They must have consistent volunteers who are experts in their field. They must culminate in a demonstration of mastery, which means a mock trial, a case study, videos where you talk about the progress you've made that we can in improving the environment, right? That you can use your skills to demonstrate to others that the kids have value. Okay? There you go. I gotta head over to the other training, but if you look at the organizational goals and objectives, this is straight out of grant writing. This is the story I tell. If you understand the goals, how we measure our goals or our progress, a goal is a big term change, right? We want to accomplish this. Objectives are short-term windows of opportunity to measure how successful you are in achieving your long-term goal. So goals and objectives are two different things. How we measure is a part of your objectives. How do you know that you're hitting your objectives? Well, we're going to survey. We're going to track attendance. These are ways that you measure how successful you are in achieving your objectives en route to your overall organizational goals. We have 3 organizational goals. Anyone want to read them off? They're big in scope.
Objective 1, increase number of students enrolled.
That's objective. What's the goal?
What are the goals?
It's got a 1 next to it.
Oh, sorry. Provide a safe and positive alternative to the streets during the most dangerous hours of the day.
That's big. Big goal. Right? It's a big street. Second goal.
Improve student engagement.
Boom. That's a tough one, but there's the definition of engagement. What's the third?
Eliminate the achievement gap.
Thank you. You have to understand what the target is that you're shooting at. The achievement gap is the last thing. That means that everything else has failed en route to that, right? Infrastructure's gone, opportunities are gone, motivation's gone. We want to eliminate the achievement gap. We don't want kids to drop out of school. We don't want kids to fail. Okay. On the second to last page, key research findings. We were working with middle school and intuitively knew this long before the University of Chicago. Anyone here interested in research? Cool. You'll find that most, and I love talking about this, most research is predicated on the concept of, we all know this, so how can we just prove that what we know is true? So we were doing middle school long before middle school was cool, right? Most people wanted to avoid middle school. We're like, no, it's the easiest place to have impact because they're just knuckleheads. And just give a little bit of something and you're gonna see a turnaround. Elementary's too young, they already follow in line. That's their makeup. High school's too late. They're either in line or they're not, right? So you have to have a real powerful way to transition high school. That's the primetime games, but that's another story. Okay, this is research that I use, so you know what I'm looking for because this is what I tell people. And the last couple pages are more talking points, so don't worry about that. That pretty much wraps up my portion of the day, which is how to think about it. This is global, right? This is who we are. what you do is transfer this to your site. All right? On another day and another time, we'll talk about CQI and POS and the NCAA and all other matter acronyms. I don't really care. All right? TBD. But the way that we get from here to your site is a needs assessment that we've created over time that your site directors will roll out with you, the purpose of which is to best understand your unique site, the strengths of your staff, the interests of your students, and how to take those variables and bring them together so that not only do we hit 100% of our contract, but that our kids are also succeeding. Some things that are different amongst sites. One, facilities. Other than having the beach, Westside Global doesn't really even have anything that qualifies as a facility, right? Emerson Middle School has a state-of-the-art facility. Webster Middle School has more yard space than maybe everywhere in the city except for Pepperdine or a public park. It just happens to sit right below the 10 freeway, right? No two sites are the same. Palms, you're separated from your school site by Palms Boulevard, but this is what you get. Studio schools on a complex with 5 other schools, including 3 high schools, and not allowed to use anything. So you've still got to make it look and feel like us. The needs assessment is the roadmap that breaks all the pieces apart so you can think about the variables in a consistent manner that every other site will follow, identify what's unique and different, and implement the best possible program, which also includes reversing attendance trends, things like that. That's the big picture of how we remain excellent. Any questions before we turn it over? Give you a break and turn it over, because what it looks like at your school, I can't tell you.